Welcome to Dollars and Cents with your host, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman from Falcon Financial Management.
Good morning, Gainesville, Ocala. It is Saturday, January 12th, 8:32 a.m., and you are listening to Dollars and Cents with your hosts, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman. Jeff Davis, certified financial planner, president of Falcon Financial Management, creator of the integrated wealth management process, and a man recognized by Barron Magazine as one of the top 500 independent advisors in the country. Recently nominated into the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame under the outstanding category of wrestling. Arr, there you go. Yeah. Eat 'em, Tiger. Eat 'em.
Those tough guys.
Yeah. My name is Chris Coleman. I'm an investment advisor representative and managing partner at Falcon Financial Management. Behind the glass, as always, we have Miss Lisa Meadows. Lisa, how are you today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing great. Getting back in the swing of a 5-day work week.
It's beautiful, though, hasn't it?
And the choir said.
Amen, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good.
I had some, I'm on Facebook. My son Nick wrestled at the University of Minnesota in 2004, 2005. So we've always, adopted Minnesota as our national competitive team. Chattanooga's where the boys wrestled.
Gophers, Mocs.
We always cheer for the Mocs, but the Mocs are going to be a top 20 team. That's a big break for us. Minnesota can win a national championship, so we also want to cheer on the Gophers. But point being, on Facebook, they were talking about, it's shorts weather in Minnesota, in Minneapolis.
Oh, dear, don't tell me about that.
It was 38 degrees. And then they said, and they had pictures of a bunch of the wrestlers, Minnesota wrestlers, sitting in shorts and on beach chairs out in front of the gym. And, that was the picture. This is 38 degrees. It's beach weather. What's the weather like there? And then it'd be somewhere from 34, 37, 30. Sorry, boys. I'm in Gainesville, Florida. It's 80 degrees.
Oh.
Boo, boo.
He started a Facebook firestorm.
Poor mini boys.
Oh, my God. I don't think I could tolerate the consistency of that way. I lived in North Carolina for a while, and it got pretty cold there, but certainly not like that.
My son John is his girlfriend here is from Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, Fargo, eh?
Fargo, don't you know? And
sure,
that's where they hold the Junior National Wrestling Tournament.
And filmed a good movie.
They actually did that in Mankato, Minnesota, but that's okay.
Well done. Well done.
Which is just across the street from Fargo. Really, almost. You don't even know you go from one state to the other there. But anyway, the point being that Rachel, your friend, she was a little, middle school girl, used to go for our family vacation, was going to watch the boys wrestle in the national tournaments in Fargo, North Dakota. So she used to spend a couple of weeks up there every summer. So she and Alexia, can be Alexa, have a niece named Alexia. Mm-hmm. But Alexa, they've become friends because they can talk Fargo. Don't you know?
For sure there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
When they recruited Nick up to the University of Minnesota, they brought him up at Halloween. It wasn't real cold. I remember when when he went up there, I had this really fur-covered collared jacket. And the jacket, I said, Nick, it's down. You're going to need this. Oh, no, Dad, I don't need that. I got a hoodie.
I'm ready, Pop.
I'm ready. I got a hoodie. So, now he talks about Minnesota, when the winter comes, it's a question. That
How far away can he get?
The snow starts, in about right after Halloween. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't stop until April or May. So you don't know what the sun looks like. You don't know what the girls look like because everybody's all padded up, and got these you don't know what nothing. And so the weather. The few times I was there, the weather kicked my rear end, and I couldn't imagine living there. And after 2 years, neither could he.
That poor guy going up there all there. Now, don't they have like tunnels? To go between classes and stuff?
And yeah, it's not everywhere. That's going to be your modern day campus.
Yeah.
In the old days, we were hardy back in my day. We walked to class barefoot, uphill both ways.
I could hear the professors. I had icicles hanging from my ears. My feet were like frozen fish.
That's right. Before we get down to a couple of other paths that we're talking about today, I wanted to recognize Jenny Switt.
Hooray for Jenny.
Ginny Swit won our Predict the Dow contest, and the Dow ended up at 104.
Mm-hmm.
She guessed 13,100. That's pretty darn close, isn't it?
Well, we might have to do a historical dig to see if she was the closest ever.
Yes, Mr. Coleman, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
young junior partner.
That was a quality opportunity for you to say, well, I know in 1994 I missed it by 2 points.
Not me. Not me. But I will give you my prediction for this year.
Oh, outstanding.
So it finished at 13,104 for the year. I picked 14,000 last year. I'm picking 14,000 again this year.
All right, outstanding.
So I think we have a modest growth year. That's going to be that's my prediction for the year. We'll see how it goes. We certainly got a lot more information today, but we don't have enough. And that's why we're going to be hosting our town hall meeting on January the 29th. So if you're listening to us today and you have any interest in what this fiscal cliff is going to be about, on January the 29th from 6 to 8:30 at the Millhopper Library, the Sky, along with Dan Chalmers, a CPA from Storman & Chalmers, Kevin Downey, an estate planning attorney here in Gainesville, and myself are going to host a town hall. And all we're going to do is Kevin's going to talk about the impact of estate tax laws vis-a-vis what happened with the fiscal cliff, whatever they signed on. Hopefully we'll have a better idea of what they signed on December the 31st.
You mean that thing they did in the middle of the night?
Actually, I guess it was January 1st when they actually signed anything or passed it. Yeah, in the middle of the night. And I'm going to talk about the economy, and Dan's going to talk about taxes. And there's going to be, there's going to be some good information that's going to be available to you. So if, we want to invite our listeners, and it'll be at 6:30. It'll start at 6:30, and it'll go till 8 o'clock. So join us if you can.
I'm always excited to hear Kevin and yourself as well. But Kevin will have had, Dan will have had a little chance to see some of the things that have come out of that maybe haven't quite made news yet. So the timing of the event's perfect.
Right. And if you have questions about it, you can give our office a call.
352-375-7977, or check us out on the web at www.ffmonline.com.
Great.
I'm not sure that you have to say www anymore.
I don't think so, but I think...
is that reflective of my age? Does that put me in a certain category? Is there some 22-year-old out there going, you don't have to do that anymore?
Nick and I were talking about things that Nick's in town for a couple of weeks, and then he'll be going back out to California. But we were in the car driving somewhere, and we were talking about, the words that people have today. Kids don't have any idea what, he's all 27. So, these kids today, they don't even know some of the things, we were talking about some of the skateboarding terminology of his day. And then I said, it's like clickers, the thing you used to change. Well, they used to be a real little box. You probably remember this. And when you pressed the button, it went click, click, click. It wasn't da-da-da-da, it was click, click, and it was a real click. You felt it and everything else. That's where it came from, clickers. It's like albums. CDs aren't albums. They're these big plastic things.
Yeah.
And we still call them albums.
I've been guilty of not doing this in the past. Let me throw the phone number out there.
For who? Me?
For here. In case someone wants to talk to you. You're on a roll today.
Okay.
Outstanding. Folks, if you'd like to give us a call, the phone number is 877-975-9825. That's 877-975-9825. Albums. I miss album covers. That was always, the artwork that was involved with album covers. That was an experience in and of itself.
Have you ever noticed in the top corner of those bookshelves in the back of my office, I've got 3 albums from the Beatles.
Yeah.
Rubber Soul, Revolver, and...
what's the Meet the Beatles? Is it Meet the Beatles with the 4?
Yep. Yeah. That was the first American album. And, I've got them... I bought them years ago on eBay, I think. But it was just... I wanted the covers. I wanted the paper cover. And, it's great to open those things up, and there's a record from Capitol. That was the Beatles when they were Capitol Records, not
with the circular building in L.A.
No. You're young, boy. Gosh, he's just a child, isn't he?
Who was the circular building in L.A.?
No idea.
No, Capitol Records.
Might have been, but not in 1964.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You better. I'm gonna go back and look this up. Y'all better know what you're talking about. No,
Well,
because
I'm absolutely certain. I've got those albums, and so let's make a wager,
No,
because
no,
I
no,
always
no.
like to make
No, no, no.
wagers on things I know.
no. I know you know the album. I'm saying Capitol Records building location in L.A.
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
Oh, okay, well, it's like one of the, it was a circular building you used to see when they'd show L.A., LAX or the...
Oh, I didn't.
Never mind. That's a rabbit hole. You're doing great. Go for it.
Okay.
Alrighty there.
So on that note, I wonder what those are worth now. Hopefully they've increased in value and they're worth tens of thousands of dollars. I must have paid $1.99 for each of them.
Now that's appreciation. Well done.
So the stock market actually has had it's holding its own. An awful lot of people thought that when they didn't make any of these agreements, this would be a cataclysmic collapse of the stock market. And it wasn't, and it's not going to be. I've said this before. I believe that most of the people who were really scared of the fiscal cliff, I know that when you look at our clients, those that were really scared of the fiscal cliff, we couldn't keep them from going to cash. The experience of 2008, the experience of 2002 was overwhelming. And sometimes in our office, we talk about bias, investing bias. And that's what you're seeing right now. We've got to be careful about the future, that we don't let this bias carry us into the future and affect our opportunity to get returns. And what I mean by bias is that in the 1990s, we just saw the stock market go up, 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 up. And I have a chart that I'll show sometimes to clients when we're talking about this, and it shows what the 90s look like in terms of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. And then it'll also show what the bonds were. Bonds were, 4, 5, 6%. Stocks were anywhere from 14 to 16% on an average return for the 90s. And so all you did was see this thing going up, 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 up. You turn it over, and there's the 2000s. And what you see is the bonds steadily going up and the stock market cratering and basically flattening out for a decade. Our bias in the 1990s, and I can remember being fired in 1999.
I remember this story.
By
Go for it.
a doctor up in Waycross, and at the end of 99, my returns weren't averaging 18%, so I got fired. And he took the money and, invested in himself because he knew that internet stocks and telecommunication stocks were going to forever we're going to just go up. That was his bias. This is where it's good, and it's going to be good forever. Look at what it's been for this last decade. If you can't continue to, you can't do that, what do you know? And what I knew is he had a nice portfolio that he blew up to chase. And the Dow and NASDAQ at that point dropped from 5,500 to about 1,500 in the course of 18, 20 months. So people that were heavily invested in, anything from Microsoft to Apple to Intel to a whole host of names like JDS Uniphase and companies like that don't even exist anymore. Lucent. Oh, gosh, everybody got killed on Lucent. Those were the stocks that a lot of people jumped into because the bias was they would go up forever. Now the bias is will the stock market continue to go up forever, but will it ever go up again? And that's because of this last decade or so. People's experience has been very harsh. And so they're looking at this and they're saying, do you think the stock market is really going to ever go up? We're going to I do a financial plan for someone. We were working on with someone last night, and I suggested a 6% average return going forward. And they got about a 10% return on their investments last year. They were real excited about that. I am too. You got to have some 10s to make up for the 2s. Yeah. That's how you get an average of 6. And we're going to get some 2s and we're going to get some 10s. It was like I was discussing with this client last night. You have to understand that we are going to have a 20% bear market sometime between today and next December the 31st. The stock market will go down 20%. Don't know when, don't know for how long, but I know it's going to happen. And I'll even stick my neck out farther. I'll tell you it's going to happen in 2014, 2015, and by 2016, 17, I hope it's not a couple of times a year because it seems like the pace of things is getting faster. And so it's just the natural breathing of the stock market. The stock market's like the cycles of life. You have winter, you have spring, you have summer, you have fall. And sometimes those winters are really, really bad winters, and sometimes they're not so bad. And that's what a drop in the stock market would be like.
Well, that's kind of what my experience in the business, all of 6 years, which seems like a long time to me, but of course, not the breadth of the experience that you have. But what I'm finding in regards to, and one of the most fascinating components of art is the psychology of working with a client and getting them to understand how to construct and build a portfolio for their total net worth to where they can stomach those periods and stay the course. That seems to be one of the greatest challenges in our job, to make them aware that, hey, this is the part of your portfolio that you've got to assume some risk. Sitting in cash, I can guarantee you a loss.
It's a risk.
Yeah,
they don't realize it's a risk. They just don't see that balance go down.
Yeah, and I don't know if you even call it a risk as much as a guarantee of a because the dollar's worth less every day.
Well, it's the purchasing power risk is what I learned. Going a long way back, that's really inflation. Inflation and taxes are eating away. If you're getting 0.01%. I gave this statistic out over the holidays that if you invested, if this was Thanksgiving of 2007, the average money market rate was a little over 4%. So to generate $1,000 of income took $24,000. Today, because of the interest rates, to generate $1,000 of income based on the national average of money market rates, you need $5 million. Isn't that something? That's the impact of these low interest rates on people who are living on a fixed income basis, and that was something that we've been brought up. It's interesting when you talk about, we call it behavioral dynamics. That's the study of investors, and there's a lot of studies that talk about. There's a ratio. I think it's 5-1. People, they would rather not lose money than make money by a ratio of 5-1. So if you're telling me that I can lose 10 cents to, I can make 10 cents or I can lose $1, I'll just make the 10 cents, or I'll make 10 cents instead of 50, lose 50 cents. So people are really adverse to losing money. And I understand that. In this last decade, we've been smacked around. People's lives and futures have been changed by what's happened in these last 12 years and what's going to happen in the next few years. Because if you planned on retiring in 2000 and you had $1 million, we would have assumed, because I was conservative, that the average in the stock market was 10%. I would have only used 8% in doing my calculations.
Because you're prudent.
I'm prudent. I'm going to pay you out 5%. We got 3% for inflation, and we're 2% under what the long-term average is.
Let me get you a big super P. Captain Prudent.
Well, we start paying them out $50,000 in 2000. They've earned 1% on an average over the last decade, maybe 2%. If they've been taking out 5%, they've been taking out $50,000 a year, making a little bit more. They've taken out $600,000 in the last 12 years. They made a little back. They may have $500,000 of their $1 million left. If they're still taking $50,000, they're taking 10% of the portfolio. That's not a sustainable distribution rate. But that's, what are you going to do as it's going down? Do you change your lifestyle? That's what we've asked a lot of people to do. You've got to take less money. You got to take less money. And I just keep seeing the money go out. There's only so much I can do. And we've cautioned people about the potential of running out of money. So one of the things that we have evolved into, and I've always referred to us as an evolutionary business, holistic and evolutionary as part of our integrated wealth management process, but as an evolutionary process, what I see myself and doing for clients today is preserving capital and creating income they can't outlive. That's what I do. I'm not a wealth manager. If you've got $10 million of assets, you need a wealth manager. And I could do it for you. Chris could do it for you. Falcon Financial Management can do it for you. But it's not what we do. We deal with what's called the mass affluent. That's people with 250, 500, maybe 750 to $1 million. We have about 20, 30 clients that have accounts over $1 million, but most of our accounts are averaging about $500,000. And then we've got a lot of people that are just getting started. We've got $5,000 for their first IRA. So the breadth and range of our clients is pretty wide. My clients tend to be older and have bigger balances. Chris's clients tend to be younger and getting started with their retirement planning and doing college planning. So you're starting 529. Launching businesses, right? My daughter Rachel, who is just finished her insurance license, now working on her securities license, graduated in family financial planning at the University of Florida, which is a new certificate program headed by Michael Gutter, and it allows her to now sit for the CFP exam. So she's ultimately following the path of Chris and I. And she's going to, it's even going to be a different process for her. A lot of her people are going to be still single. They're finishing medical school, they're finishing law school, things of that nature. They're becoming teachers and nurses and all the other professions that this is their first job. What do I do with this 401k? Well, how much can you put in $100? Can you put in 10% of your, you need a little bit of life insurance. You need a little bit of, those are the things that she's going to be dealing with. So at our firm, we've got the ability to help people at all stations of their life. If you're just getting started, if you're in that middle part of life when you got a 12 to 14-year-old girl running around becoming a woman and making you crazy.
Why did he do that to me? Lisa, throw the flag. Throw it. There we go.
If you've met this statuesque beauty that he's trying to hide under that burqa over at his house.
She's on her way to the nunnery today. We're very excited about that.
Can I contribute to that? That girl needs to be in the nunnery.
It must be hard. Give him some credit. It must be hard.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
It is. I raised Rachel. I didn't raise
Lord.
Rachel. I
Oh,
I was there
did.
while Rachel was being raised, but one of the things I remember is the 14 to 16-year-old girls at the house, and they don't come in once.
Oh no, they travel in a pack.
I think they're called gaggles.
Gaggles.
And they're all standing in front of. We had the bathroom for Rachel and the kids had this huge counter and this huge mirror, perfect for like 5 or 6 girls to sit right in front of with their pile of makeup and their thing, and they're all just talking and doing their hair. You don't want to get too close to back there because the hair product alone is going to go into fire. Whoa.
My sister was junior Miss Texas.
Ooh.
So she was stunningly gorgeous and stuff. And when my daughter was born, I can remember asking my dad, I know she's going to grow up and all that stuff. And Kim had all those guys coming around the house. What was your greatest concern? And he thought about it for a second. He says, I could deal with the boys coming by and stuff, but he says, I'll never forget seeing her friends come by, her hopping in a car, and all I can see is the back window, them driving down there, and the hairbrushes come out, and they're looking in the rearview mirror and everything. They're concentrating on everything else but driving that car. That was his greatest concern.
Well, let me just say that I found having John and Nick around.
No, bring them back.
I was going to say it was great for controlling the boys.
For that service. Yeah.
Controlling the boys around Rachel.
State champion wrestlers. Yeah, oh boy,
big monsters. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, they're not there. I was left to my own devices. I found a couple of hand grenades and a shotgun right there at the front door when they walked in. Worked really well. Just so you know, I don't have a license for this. It's unregistered gun, so they may find your body, but they won't find the weapon.
There's a country song out there. Go ahead, y'all have a good time. When you get home, I'll be sitting here cleaning this gun.
And every father should know that song. Well, I know that we're getting ready to get down to the end of the show. There's a couple of other things I just wanted to remind everybody. This next 2 months, you're going to hear a lot of noise. Don't let it get to you. It's a furor that's going to go on over whether we're going to do sequestration, debt ceilings, blah, 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 blah. And we're also going to have the beginnings of the rollout so that you're going to start to have an idea of what the Affordable Care Act, which people call Obamacare, what the Affordable Care Act is going to cost and what there's going to do. You're also going to see what taxes are going to be. So One of the things that we do know is what your tax brackets are going to be for 2013. You know what they are for 2012. So there were no changes that are going to affect 2012. So people can start. They're going to be getting their 1099s. They can start filing their taxes like they normally would. But there's going to be opportunities to take advantage of some of the other tax changes. And on January the 29th, we're going to have our town hall meeting. I just want to encourage everybody to, again, join us if you'd like. And you'll be able to get some ideas about taxes, the economy, and estate planning from Kevin Downey, Dan Chalmers, and myself. Of course, Mr. Coleman will be there to be our MC and host, but did I tell you that you were the MC?
I'm looking forward to it. Now that I know, I'm totally jacked.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, you got to pay attention to our radio show. Well, just so you pay attention to the radio show, so you find out about any new responsibilities and jobs that I'm going to be
and ladies
asking
and gentlemen,
you for.
I have picked up two today. Also, we're going to have John Van, and I'm going to mispronounce his last name. John, forgive me, John Van Dozer from James Moore. He'll be here on the 19th, on the 26th, right. And we'll be talking about retirement plans, the new contribution limits that you have,
right.
And also he'll bring some data in regards to those plans and things tax-related,
right?
Benefits, drawbacks, that sort of fun stuff. We got big
That's
stuff
going to be
planned
great
this year.
That's right. That's right. So it'll be looking forward to having John join you on the. He's in your Leadership Gainesville class, isn't he?
He is. What a great experience! Our chamber, by the way, is really outstanding. They're what they call a 5-star, which is, there's not a lot of them. It's not like some certification you go out and buy, you have to earn it. But the things that we've done and what's happened here in our community with the Innovation Hub, the services that we have here, the planning that goes into the community, it's just outstanding. We ought to bring one of them in one day just to let them say, hey, here's our community.
I think that'd be a great idea. But, I know that's Leadership Gainesville's, it's a big commitment and a lot of work that you've been going through to go through that program. So I hope you're enjoying it, and we're counting on you continuing to develop your relationships with people like John.
Row the boat.
Row the boat. Chop that wood. Chop that wood.
All right, folks, it's that time where we pay the bills. If you'd like to give us a call at Falcon Financial Management, the phone number is 352-375-7977. That's 352-375-7977. Jeff, I, or any one of the fantastic ladies in our office would love to speak with you. If you'd like to check us out on the web, that's www.ffmonline.com, www.ffmonline.com. Mr. Davis, I hope you have a great day.
I'm looking forward to it. Same to you. Bye-bye.
Join us next week at this time for Dollars and Cents with Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman from Falcon Financial Management on News Talk 97.3 The Sky.